Hello, everyone, and welcome into Lafayette, Louisiana for tonight's match between the Louisiana Christian University Lady Wildcats and the John Melvin University Millers. I'm Evan Geiger, and we're at the Cajun Elite Volleyball facility for this exhibition match. LCU will be the away team tonight, and while this will not count on their schedule, I can guarantee that the Wildcats want to get a victory tonight after dropping their last two matches against A&M Texarkana. They are 6-4 on the year after that. Coach Brittany Saloom will likely give us a heavy dose of attacks from senior Anaya Adams and junior Katie Spell. They are first and second in kills on the team, respectively. Sophomore setter Emma Kother has 290 of the team's 338 assists, so you're going to hear her name a lot tonight. Junior Kiera Jones has made a big impact defensively. She has 38 of the Wildcats' 65 blocks. Junior Leah Stamps is another defensive stalwart for the Wildcats. She has 25% of the team digs by herself. For John Melvin, this is their first ever home game here in their inaugural season, coming off a road trip to Texas where the Millers played against some quality NJCAA Region 14 competition. Look for head coach Ben Cazzetta to game plan lots of swings for junior Jasmine Shriver and sophomore Anaya Coleman. They both had a healthy amount of kills last Monday against Lee College. Junior Abigail Van Zant may be the setter, but watch for her to try to surprise the defense with attacks of her own, as she had over 10 attacks in the Millers' last match. Sophomore Zoe Barnett will surely play a big role defensively, acting as the libero. Actually going to be Kylie Klein tonight. Interesting. Defensive specialist, her and Barnett. Here is Barnett with a serve. And a attack error makes it 1-0. The last time these two teams met, LCU won it 3-1 in Pineville. So 1-0. Here is a serve from LCU. Up in the air from Barnett. Set for Shriver. Shriver attacks. It's deflected, and it's going to be a point off the deflection. A kill for Jasmine Shriver. Shriver wears number 4 from Ezraville, Iowa. Junior from Iowa Lakes Community College. And gets a ace there, a service ace, and it's 2-1. Looks like that went off of, hard to see who that was. This is in the air. Mistake there for LCU. They look not really ready to play so far through the first 4 points, as that's another point for Jasmine Shriver. She's got all 3 for the Millers. Serve here. This one looks like it'll be returned. Attacked and deflected. Dug up there by Barnett. And Van Zant will attack. Libero gets it up in the air. Now attacked here. Van Zant under it. Slapped over there by Ponce Diaz. And this is going to go off the wall. A point for JMU. That looks like Van Zant who got the kill. So right now it is Palin Scholander, Abigail Van Zant, Jasmine Shriver, Zoe Barnett, Kylie Klein, and Dania Ponce Diaz for the Millers. And this is a service error. 4-2 your score here in set number 1. LCU wearing the gray jerseys, their libero in white. Serve here from their libero, which is Leah Stamps, and that is going to be out of play. So this should be JMU's point, 5-2. They have Stamps, it's Katie Spell, Anaya Adams, Emma Kother, Megan O'Neill, and Kiera Jones in for the Wildcats. And an attack error there. It's 6-2. Katie Spell with the mistake. They just really don't look on the same page so far. A lot of mistakes for the Wildcats. Serve from Scholander. Attack by Spell. Dug up, and they're not going to be able to return that one. Not a great reception there by Klein, as that one was really low. We'll see a serve from Katie Spell. Right side hitter from Arlington, Texas in her junior year. This is sent over. Barnett and Ponce Diaz kind of collide a little bit there. This is deflected off of Jamia Francois. Francois bumps it over. It's deflected by the middle blocker. And now she'll just kind of dump it over. Shriver in the back row is going to get it. And now an attack from Klein. Shriver has to go a long ways to get that one. And then Ponce Diaz was all up under the net trying to send it back over. It's 6-4. Here is a serve from Katie Spell once again. Spell has that one go off the net. Shriver dove, but it just trickled off the net. Hard to return there, 6-5. Spell serves. Ponce Diaz to Van Zant. Francois sends it too far, and we're tied at 6. Wildcats have rebounded nicely after being down 6-2, in part to a lot of their own mistakes. Spell on a bit of a run here. Sends it over. Van Zant will attack, and it's deflected, and it's a point for the Wildcats, 7-6. Spell to serve again. Off the net. Barnett gets it. Van Zant sets to Ponce Diaz. Ponce Diaz just pushes it over, and it's a kill for Ponce Diaz, 7-7. We're tied here. Barnett will switch out for Anaya Coleman. Give them some offense in favor of Coleman. Barnett more of a defensive presence and a setter. Libero usually than an attacker. Coleman has had a lot of kills. This is deflected by Francois, block, and it's 8-7. Coleman might have been in there as well. Abigail Van Zant from Clever, Missouri. Previous school was Labette College. This trickles off the net, just kind of barely skimmed the top, and that is going to be too far. An attack error from LCU, and it's 9-7. JMU has Van Zant, Shriver, Klein, Ponce Diaz, Francois, and Coleman in right now. Van Zant with the left-handed serve over. The libero gets it up in the air. Attacked and deflected. Shriver has to dolphin dive to get that one, and Ponce Diaz will send it over. Set up here. Attack from the back row. Klein under that one easily. Coleman just tips it over, and it's going to be near the wall over there. Not a lot of foul territory over there. This is deflected and out of bounds. A kill for Ponce Diaz. It's 10-7. Good rally there. Volley back and forth. Millers get the point. Van Zant sends it over. That was kept off the ground somehow, and it's not going to be returned. It was hit into the net by Anaya Adams. It looks like Jones, O'Neal, Adams, Stamps, Spell, and Emma Cother in for the Wildcats. Just tapped over in a no man's land. It's 11-8. That looks like a point for Cother, I believe. Perhaps it was Megan O'Neal. Serving now is Carly Horton, defensive specialist and outside hitter from Opelousas, Louisiana. Shriver bumps it up. Van Zant sets for Ponce Diaz. Libero stamps under it. Attacks, and that is going to be too hard. An attack error from Anaya Adams, and it's 12-8. Here is Dania Ponce Diaz from Ezerville, Iowa. Iowa Lakes Community College. Previous stop. Adams attacks, and that is a point. One of the team leaders at kills had to think it was coming eventually. She was going to get one, and I believe that's her first. A really nice swing from Adams. And we'll see a serve from Kiera Jones, 6-foot tall middle blocker from New Orleans. Went to Edna Carr High School. Van Zant gets it up for Coleman a little away from the net. And now it's set up for Spell, who attacks from the back row. Ponce Diaz gets under it. Klein bumps it up for Shriver. Shriver attacks way too far. It is 12-10 on the attack error from Shriver. Here is Jones. Junior hits this one into the net, and it's 13-10 on the service error from LCU. Miller's up by 3, and you have to think the Wildcats have not played their best volleyball here yet. A lot of mistakes from them, and I'm sure they will clean that up as it goes on. And a perfectly executed serve from Klein as it just rolls off the net. It's 14-10 on the ace. Coming off a service ace, will serve again. And this one, Stamps will bump it up to the front row, and Adams with an attack error into the net. It's 15-10. Kylie Klein from North Branch, Minnesota, another Iowa Lakes Community College alumni. Long run, and Stamps will bump it over. Scholander gets it to Van Zant, who gets it to Coleman. This is set up for Spell. That's deflected. Shriver gets it up in the air, and Klein will bump it over. Set, and Klein underneath this one. Shriver attacks, and that is a kill. Jasmine Shriver with a nice swing and a point. It's 16-10. We'll see another serve from Kylie Klein. Bumped up in the air. Just barely tipped over. Van Zant able to get under it. Coleman bumps it. Scholander attacks. This is set for Adams. Deflected. And a little pinball action here. Ponce Diaz to Van Zant to Shriver. Shriver attacks. It's deflected. Shriver gets it back. And now Van Zant will attack. Mentioned the setter attacks more than most setters. Spell just kind of shoots this one over. Scholander with an attack, and that is in. Or no, it was out. I thought they said it was in. 16-11. LCU finally going to serve after a good little run there from Kylie Klein. And this is going to be Emma Cother from Carencro, Louisiana. Previously was at Turlings Catholic High School. Shriver into the net. An attack error makes it 16-12. Emma Cother, the sophomore, listed at 5'6", to serve again. Bumped up high, Van Zant sets backwards to Coleman. Coleman hits it in the net. Another attack error. Seen a lot of errors from both teams so far here through the first 29 points. Cother serves again. Shriver bumps it over. No. Into the net. Nothing Van Zant could do. It's 16-14. Another error for the Millers. Shriver under it. Van Zant sets for Scholander. Taps it over. Stamps gets it up in the air. Spell attacks. Van Zant underneath this one. Klein bumps it up high for Coleman. Coleman attacks, and that is out. 16-15. That's 5 straight points for the Wildcats. Serve over, Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zant sets for Coleman. Coleman pushes it over, Stamps under it. Cother for Adams, and Ponce Diaz with a reactionary putting her fists up and knocks it out of bounds. It's tied at 16 now. A very nice recovery from LCU to tie this up here in set number 1. And they're going to call a timeout, Will, the Millers. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. All right, everybody, welcome back into Cajun Elite Volleyball here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Take a second to tell you about Calvo Tinted It. They are an Acadian-owned and operated window tinting company specializing in auto, home, and commercial tinting, where we strive for perfection, even if that means quality over quantity. You can like and follow Calvo Tinted It on Facebook and call 337-654-8494. Tied at 16, we'll get a serve from Emma Cother. Sends it over, Shriver under it, Van Zandt up in the air, Shriver attacks, and that is going to be JMU's point. 17-16, a kill for Shriver. A little confusion there about the ruling. Here is Zoe Barnett, sophomore out of Erskine High School from Lafayette. Listed as a libero, but not the libero tonight. And a service ace as this one hits the top of the net and just rolls over into a wide open space. 18-16, Millers lead by 2. Barnett, the serve. Cother sets it. Just pushed over and deflected. Cother now sets for Adams, who just hits it over. Barnett to Van Zandt to Shriver. Shriver hits it into no man's land again. Another kill for Shriver. 19-16. Shriver's had at least 5 of the 19 points. Barnett. Cother sets. Adams attacks. And this is up high. Van Zandt to Shriver, who tries to shoot it into the net. And a little low, 19-17. Almost looked like a lift. She was trying to dunk it like Blake Griffin. Shriver gets underneath this one. Van Zandt sets for Scholander. Scholander attacks too far. The attack error, or no, it's JMU's point. Perhaps LCU was in the net. Thinking they were. Looks like Jasmine Shriver will serve. 20-17. And this is set by Cother and deflected, and that's a JMU point. The deflection at the line from Scholander did not give them anything good to hit. Miller's up by 4. Shriver serves too far. Service error makes it 21-18. Here is Leah Stamps, the libero from Wiley, Texas. 5'4" junior from Wiley East High School serves. Barnett to Van Zandt, who sets for Ponce Diaz. Deflected off a few Wildcats, but now a serve. That's deflected by Scholander. A block for her. It's 22-18. That was Katie Spell attacking. Scholander. Stamps gets it to Cother. Just punched over by Spell and then deflected. Shriver had to come a long way to get under it, and she sent it over the net, and it was attacked downwards by Kiera Jones, I believe. 3-point lead for Millers. But the Wildcats have the serve here. Katie Spell. Shriver, similar reaction there. Van Zandt tries to tap it over backwards, and it goes out of bounds. It's 22-20. Mentioned Van Zandt, very aggressive early. You get 3 swings. She attacks on the second quite often. That time an attack error, and Van Zandt attacks again here on the second hit. Oh, little collision, and they're able to get it over thanks to Klein. Van Zandt tries to set it down, and it goes off of Jones. Would have been out of bounds, but Jones touched it. It's 23-20. A kill for Van Zandt. We mentioned the setter who attacks a lot. Gets a kill there. Van Zandt, left-handed serve. Spell to Cother, to Jones. Van Zandt sets it for Coleman. Coleman attacks, and it's deflected, and now Adams will send it over. Van Zant up to Francois. It's deflected. Klein is there. Van Zant sets for Ponce Diaz. Adams gets it in the air, and that is a point for JMU. They're a point away from a set victory here. 24-20 here in set number 1. Abigail Van Zant, left-handed serve. Spell in the air to Kother. Sets, and it's deflected. Ponce Diaz gets under it. Klein for Coleman. Coleman attacks and off the net. An attack error makes it 24-21. They just need 1 point before LCU gets 5. Scholander and Barnett are currently taking a break. It's Shriver, Coleman, Francois, Van Zant, and Ponce Diaz. Klein as well. Francois taps it over. Adams up in the air. Kother to Adams. It's tipped, and Van Zant bumps it for Klein, who bumps it for Coleman, and that is going to be LCU's point. It did not go over the net. 24-22. Up 24-20, needed 1 point. They need one more here. Sent over. And Coleman gets it up to Van Zant, who attacks into the net. Attack error, it's 24-23. A timeout for JMU. Despite leading, they've called 2 timeouts. Meanwhile, none have been called by LCU. It's 24-23. We'll go to a quick commercial break. We'll come right back. Welcome back into Cajun Elite Volleyball here in Lafayette, Louisiana. 24-23. JMU needs 1 point here. See a serve from Carly Horton out of Opelousas, Louisiana. 5'7" freshman trying to tie it up here. Horton sends it far. Van Zant up in the air. Ponce Diaz comes from way in the back. This is tacked downward, and it's tied at 24. A kill for Kiara Jones, I believe. They were up 24-20, needed 1 point, and now we are tied at 24. Can go either way. Horton serves. Klein to Van Zant to Coleman. Coleman puts a good swing on it, and that is in. JMU 25-24. Got to win by 2, though. Now we'll see a serve from Dania Ponce Diaz, junior right side hitter. They can score a point here. They will win set number 1. Ponce Diaz. And this is Kother up to Adams. It's deflected. Ponce Diaz able to get there. Van Zant sets for Shriver. Shriver attacks, and that is a kill. Jasmine Shriver. It is 26-24. The Millers win set number 1. Back and forth, lots of errors from both teams, but the Millers prevail in set number 1. Jasmine Shriver, how about that? Had a few kills, probably 7 of the points at least in that first set. We'll go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Millers take set number 1, 26-24. Set number 2 coming up here in just a moment. I want to take a second to tell you about Martin's Auto. They are a Crowley born and raised company. They look out for their community. They cover your vehicle's needs from basic repairs and maintenance to window tint and more. They believe in quality work over quantity, and you can call them at 337-785-1732. Of course, you can find them on Facebook as well. Vanilla Bean is a proud sponsor of JMU Athletics. Vanilla Bean is not just a coffee shop, it is a community gathering space. You can catch up with friends over lunch, start your day with their next level energy drinks, or simply unwind while drinking a crafted coffee in their cozy atmosphere. My fiance would certainly recommend the pumpkin pie latte. So ask for it every chance she gets when she's in Crowley. Pretty good breakfast, too. Not a coffee drinker myself, but should be starting set number 2 here just any minute. LCU probably not entirely thrilled with the way they played in set number 1. Lots of mistakes. Looks like they're going to put in some new faces here in set number 2. We're going to see Dynasty Brown, Kate Campbell, Anaya Adams, who we did see a good bit of, Nija Polk, trying to see the number of a few others. And we'll also see, I believe, number 12, Megan O'Neill. Oh no, that might be Ada Horton. Yeah, I believe that's Ada Horton, number 15, who will be serving here. JMU is going to go with Zoe Barnett, Jamia Francois, Zoe Barnett, Kylie Klein, Dania Ponce Diaz, Jasmine Shriver, Abigail Van Zant, and Palin Scholander. Francois and Coleman on the bench to start set number 2. Looks like Stamps will check back in for Kiera Jones. So it is Stamps, Dynasty Brown, Nija Polk, Kiera Jones, Anaya Adams, and here is Ada Horton, the setter and defensive specialist, to serve to begin set number 2. Serve is over. This is a diving attempt from Barnett that shoots it over, and that is going to be JMU's point. A mistake early from LCU. Sometimes we're making a lot of mistakes. You call a timeout and you do better. You come out of the next period, next set, whatever. You start off hot. Mistake here to start the set, though, and that is it's 1-1. What's the mistake? I believe drive across the line or what? Adams serves it. Barnett to Van Zant. Van Zant just shoots it over. A kill. Perfect placement from Van Zant. It appears to be a back set, and instead it goes over the net and falls into an empty space. Here is Kylie Klein to serve. This is Horton, and just pushed over Van Zant for Francois, who taps it over, and that's a kill for Jamia Francois. It's 3-1. We'll see Kylie Klein to serve again. Come a long way from North Branch, Minnesota, down to Crowley, Louisiana. Serve is over. Stamps will bump it up. Horton sets it, and it's attacked from the back row. Klein is under it. Van Zant sets for Ponce Diaz, who shoots it too far. An attack error. It's 3-2. This is Leah Stamps to serve. Stamps the libero. Van Zant to Shriver, who attacks from the back row, and I think she hit Jamia Francois. Little downward trajectory off the head of Jamia Francois. I'm sure that felt good. Tied at 3. Stamps will serve. Barnett's under it, and it is deflected downward by Kiera Jones. It is 4-3. Kiera Jones listed at 6 foot. She is the tallest player. Her and Anaya Adams, the tallest players here. Ponce Diaz Van Zant for Ponce Diaz. It's deflected. Ponce Diaz shoots it over while coming down. Kiara Jones taps it over. Ponce Diaz to Van Zant, who attacks Horton, and this is going to stay in play somehow. Now it's bumped over. Francois bumps it up to Van Zant. Ponce Diaz attacks, and that is a kill for Dania Ponce Diaz. A nice volley back and forth there. It's 4-4. Here is Abigail Van Zant from Clever, Missouri with the left-handed serve. And Horton. This is Klein who was able to get under it. Van Zant up for Coleman. Coleman pushes it over. It's hit by a few Wildcats and then deflected out of bounds. It's going to be LCU's points, 5-4. Guess it was deflected by a Miller. Serve here. Shriver under it. Van Zant to Francois, who bumps it over. And that is going to be JMU's point. A long run from Nija Polk. And she shoots it up into the net. Nothing really that Horton could do. Here's Dania Ponce Diaz from Esderville, Iowa. Serve over, stamps, bumps it. Horton now to Jones, who bumps it over. Van Zant just taps it. They're going to call a lift, I believe. Yeah. 6-5 the score. Coach Ben Cazzetta doesn't seem to agree with the call. Serve here. It is too far. A service error from Kate Campbell has it at 6. Campbell from Watson, Louisiana, went to Live Oak. Denham Springs, Walker area. Francois. Too far on that serve. Back-to-back service errors, and LCU is up 7-6. Kiara Jones now. Klein to Van Zant, who sets for Scholander, who hits it in the net. An attack error for JMU gives a point to LCU. Klein to Van Zant. Shriver attacks, deflected off the net. Horton sets for Adams, and that is deflected. Sent over by Adams again. Shriver under it. Van Zant to Coleman. It's deflected. Horton can't get it. And a kill for JMU. Anaya Coleman with it. Coleman will check out, and Zoe Barnett will check in. Barnett will serve. Coleman did a very good job serving against Lee. A lot of aces. A powerful serve. Surprised to see her not serving. And this was deflected by Van Zant. Horton sets it up. Pushed over. Van Zant to Shriver. Shriver taps it over. Able to get a hand on it is Dynasty Brown. And Van Zant just rolls it over the net. We're tied at 8. Another kill for the setter. Here is Zoe Barnett from Lafayette. One of the local kids. Horton. And that is not a great set. Horton had to run a long way to try to bump that one into attack position. And it's 9-8. Barnett to serve. It's over. And Stamps gets it up in the air. Attacked into the net. An attack error from Nija Polk. And the Millers are up by 2 here in set number 2. Barnett with the serve. Campbell under it. And wow, an ace. 11-8. LCU continues to make little mistakes. Both teams have, but Millers have made less. Fewer. Horton sets it up. Adams attacks, and that is a kill. Adams surprised to see a little slow start from her, as she is clearly a killing machine for the Wildcats. Leads the team in kills and attacks. I believe that's just her second or third kill. She has a good swing, a powerful attack. Scholander into the net, and no way they're going to get that over. It's 11-10. Here is Ada Horton to serve. Westminster Christian Academy graduate. And Van Zant up in the air to Shriver. Shriver tips it off the fingertips of Adams and Brown. Adams now attacks Barnett. Van Zant just flips it over backwards. Van Zant sets for Scholander. It's deflected into the net. Or blocked downward by Adams, rather, and it's 11-11. The block for Adams, and I believe Dynasty Brown was there. Tied at 11, and Ada Horton will serve here in set number 2. Dania Ponce-Diaz under it. Van Zant to Scholander, a left-handed tap over. Stamps will bump it over. Scholander up to Van Zant, who attacks. Stamps will shoot it out of bounds. A kill for Van Zant. The setter with another kill. Saw the set from Scholander, an attacker, a middle hitter, usually, but getting the assist there. Here is Jasmine Shriver. Horton sets backwards for Adams. Barnett underneath that one. Van Zant to Scholander. It's tipped over and a kill. It could not handle that one. It's 13-11. The soft attacks over the net. JMU doesn't have the height that some of the other schools have, so you see a lot of those soft attacks, just pushovers, and they've caught the Wildcats lacking so far tonight. As this, they're going to send it over. I thought that might be an ace. Scholander to Van Zant, who just rolls it over. Horton up in the air, pushed over. Ponce-Diaz gets it up high. Van Zant sets for Ponce-Diaz. Ponce-Diaz attacks, and it's sent back over. Klein to Van Zant. Van Zant attacks. It rolls over, and another kill for Van Zant. The setter with at least 3 kills here in set number 2. Not every day you see that. Here is Jasmine Shriver to serve. Back set for Adams. Adams attacks, an attack error into the net, and the Millers are up by 4. Surprised LCU has not called a timeout yet. I don't believe they've called one at all tonight. By losing set 1 and trailing here in set 2. Shriver serves into the net. A service error makes it 15-12. Here is Anaya Adams. Service over. Van Zant sets for Ponce-Diaz, who attacks too far. Back-to-back mistakes by the Millers, and LCU is within 2. Adams. Service error. That one a little lofty, and it just didn't have the carry on it. 16-13. Klein shoots it over. Horton for Adams, who just palms it over. Van Zant attacks. It's deflected back on the other side. Van Zant sets for Ponce-Diaz. Ponce-Diaz shoots it over. Horton now to Campbell. Campbell attacks. It's deflected. Francois bumps it up high. Barnett and Shriver collide. Van Zant bumps it over backwards. And Horton now sets for Campbell, and that's a kill for Campbell. Nice swing. 16-14. That's Kate Campbell, the outside hitter from Watson, listed at 5'6". Now we'll see a serve from Leah Stamps, the 5'4" libero. Barnett up high. Van Zant to Ponce-Diaz, who has to bump it over. Horton now. This is sent over. Shriver to Van Zant. Ponce-Diaz attacks. It's deflected. And a kill for Ponce-Diaz. Reception error there on LCU. Coleman checks in for Barnett, which we've seen a lot of when Barnett's rotation brings her to the front row. Van Zant, the left-handed serve over, and that is JMU's point. A mistake from LCU. The Millers are up by 4. It is Van Zant, Shriver, Coleman, Klein, Ponce-Diaz, and Jamia Francois for the Millers. Left-handed serve is over, and an ace. An ace for Van Zant, right to Nija Polk, who just did not get underneath that one. Tried to set it and needed to bump it, I would imagine. Stamps to Horton, just pushed over. Ponce-Diaz to Van Zant. Francois taps it over, and that's going to be JMU's point. I believe that was a lift or a double hit. One of the others, 20-14, a 6-point lead, likely the biggest lead for the Millers tonight. Here in set number 2, they're up by 6, and Van Zandt serves, stamps to Horton. This is attacked and deflected. Ponce Diaz will get it, and Klein, now Francois has to bump it over. Nice recovery by Klein. Attacked there. Shriver gets it up high. Ponce Diaz bumps it up to Coleman, who has to bump it over. This is set up for Kiera Jones with a really nice swing and a kill. It's 20-15. Kiera Jones hit the crap out of that one. Here's Nigel Polk serving. Van Zandt up in the air for Nia Coleman. Coleman, that is too far. An attack error makes it 20-16 in favor of JMU, but LCU will serve again. Here is Nigel Polk. Coleman under it. Coleman with a reception error there and an ace for Nigel Polk. And Ponce Diaz to Van Zandt. Coleman attacks, and that's too far. An attack error. It's 20-18. Timeout for JMU. They've called 3 timeouts tonight. LCU lost set 1 and is trailing here in set 2. They have not called a timeout, but JMU's using them, and it's benefited them so far. We'll go to a quick commercial break. 20-18. Miller's up. (22-18) the score here in set number 2. LCU to serve. Looks like Nigel Polk. Klein under it. Van Zandt gets it up in the air. Francois, or no, that's Nia Coleman rather, bumps it over. Just pushed over there. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zandt to Coleman. Coleman has it. Nice shot, a kill for Coleman. They were trying to send it back over, but just could not. It's 21-18. The Millers will regain possession here. Serve for Dania Ponce Diaz. Scholander and Barnett waiting on the sidelines. Everyone else in. Stamps receives the serve. And attack there, I believe, by Nigel Polk. Van Zandt to Francois. Left-handed tap over. Campbell, back to Campbell. Campbell pushes it over, and that is in. Excellent placement on that shot. It's 21-19. A kill for Campbell. She's had a couple of nice attacks. And now she will serve. And into the net. Service error makes it 22-19. 3-point lead for the Millers, and they need 3. Now Jamia Francois will serve. Jamia Francois from Morgan City, Louisiana. Horton gets it to Polk. Ponce Diaz under. Van Zandt to Coleman. Coleman with a kill. Deflected by Adams, and it falls into their territory. Coleman has had a lot of nice swings in the past 2 games. A couple of kills here in quick succession, and now Francois serves. Into the net and pushed over. Francois under it. Van Zandt up to Shriver, deflected, and that's a kill. No, they kept it alive, but it's ultimately a kill for Shriver. They couldn't return it. 24-19. Francois to serve with a chance to win set number 2. Sent over. Horton up in the air. Adams pushes it over right into Van Zant, and that is a kill. A hard shot from Anaya Adams. She's got a lot of force when she swings it. Here's Kiara Jones to serve, down by 4. Shriver under it. It's pushed down. Shriver had to dive, bumps it, and it goes over the net. Easy pickings for Kiara Jones. Maybe Dynasty Brown, one of them was in that area. Jones now serves. I believe it was Brown, and a service error results in a Millers set victory again. They won just 1 set the last time they played LCU up in Pineville. They have won the first 2 tonight. Market improvement for the Millers. They take set 1 26-24, and set 2 they won 25-21. Mistakes again for LCU, the name of the game. Something they were going to want to clean up. The Millers really playing well here so far. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Set number 3 coming up here in just a moment at Louisiana Cajun Elite Volleyball here in Lafayette. I want to take a second to tell you about Calvo Tinted. They are an Acadiana-owned and operated window tinting company specializing in auto, home, and commercial tinting. They strive for perfection, even if that means quality over quantity. Like and follow Calvo Tinted on Facebook and call 337-654-8494. Rice City Lawns is a small local business that specializes in taking care of all of your residential and commercial lawn service needs. You can call them at 337-275-9371, or as always, you can find them on Facebook. So the Millers taking sets 1 and 2 after just 1 set victory against LCU. Winning set 1, they went with maybe some reserves in set 2 for the entirety of the set. And see a few of the starters like Cother or O'Neill come in. Instead, it was Ada Horton. And we saw a lot of Dynasty Brown. Katie Spell, normally a starter, not in that last set. Saw Kate Campbell get a lot of work for LCU. Miller's a smaller roster, so everybody's going to play all 8 the rotations. But LCU, we'll see what they do here in set 3 if they opt to go back to the starters trying to win this set and not take a sweep at the hands of the Millers. I'm sure JMU will keep doing what they've been doing. Honestly, I think the winner will be whoever plays cleaner. I think that's been the biggest thing, is just the mistakes have hurt both teams, but it hurt the Wildcats more. A lot of balls just kind of falling in between. People look like miscommunications. See a lot of attacks into the net, serves into the net. Those are costly points to just give away, especially in a 26-24 game that had to go to extra points. Looks like they're going to opt to put back in the starters. Hannah Riggins is in. Emma Cother back in. Anaya Adams has stayed in most of the time. Katie Spell's back in. Stamps has been in the whole time. And, of course, Morgan Mills now in. Saw a little bit of Morgan Mills. For JMU, we will see Kylie Klein, Palin Scholander, Abigail Van Zant, Dania Ponce-Diaz, Jasmine Shriver, and Zoe Barnett. Coleman and Francois are on the sidelines. Zoe Barnett will serve to start it off here in set 3. Trying to get a sweep over the Wildcats Morgan Mills to Kother. It is bumped over, Schreiber under it. Van Zant pushes it up for Scholander, who attacks, and that is deflected off the ground, and that is a kill for Scholander. It's 1-0. Good start for the Millers. Barnett sends it over. Set up for Spell, and that is a kill for Katie Spell. I expect the Wildcats to try to get their big attackers, Spell and Anaya Adams, really going here in set 3. Adams with the serve. Klein under it. Van Zant taps it over. Adams there. Kother sets for, I believe that was Campbell, and that's JMU's points, 2-1. An attack error, I guess, off of Campbell. Jasmine Shriver now to serve. Goes over. Campbell, back to Campbell now. And Van Zant gets it up to Ponce Diaz, who shoots it over. Stamps is there. Kother up in the air. And that is a diving attempt from Shriver, and it sends it all the way over the net. And now Campbell just pushes it over. Barnett there. Van Zant sets for Scholander, who taps it over. Kother there. Stamps up high, and attack from Spell, and that's a kill for Spell. It's 2-2. Spell with both points so far for the Wildcats. As I mentioned, I really think they're going to try to force the ball to Spell and Adams. Now checking in is Kiara Jones, tallest player on either team. Has been forced in the middle, and Ponce Diaz shoots it way too far. An attack error has the Wildcats on top. Here's Leah Stamps to serve. Over, and Shriver's there. Van Zant shoots it up for Scholander, who taps it over. Spell to Kother, attacked, and that is too far. It is 3-3. They're saying it was a tip. It's 4-2. I did not see the tip. I apologize. Perhaps it was tipped off of Ponce Diaz. Somebody on that front line. Stamp serves. Klein under it. Van Zant back set for Scholander. The attack, and it is too far. Attack error. Wildcats up by 3. Klein bumps it up. Van Zant shoots it over. It is quickly deflected back on the Miller side. Stamps up in the air high. Katie Spell attacks. And a long run to the scores table. It is sent over. Nice hustle. Now set up for Spell, who taps it over. Klein is there. Van Zant to Ponce Diaz. It's deflected. Nice volley. Van Zant attacks off the net. Scholander pushes it over. Attacked, and that is LCU's point. 6-2. Not sure what the call was, but it hit the ground anyway. 4-point lead for the Wildcats. Klein up in the air. Van Zant pushes it over. Kother to Stamps. And attacked out of bounds. An attack error from Campbell. Cuts the lead to 3. Now Palin Scholander, freshman out of LaPorte, Texas. Middle hitter serves it. Adams to Kother. And bumped over. Shriver bumps it to Van Zant, to Francois, who taps it over, and that's a kill for Francois. 6-4. Back-to-back points for the Millers, and now Scholander will serve again. Into the net. Service error at 7-4. Now Katie Spell. Spell out of Arlington, Texas, went to Kennedale High School. Listed at 5'10". And that is sent over, just trickles off the net. And Shriver up to Ponce Diaz, who bumps it over. Campbell to Kother, back to Campbell, attacked, and a long run for Shriver, but she gets there. Ponce Diaz will bump it over. Nice hustle by the Millers. Kother sets. Spell attacks from the back row. It's deflected. Klein has to get there, and now Van Zandt will bump it over, and Stamps will get it near the line. Kother up to Campbell. It's deflected. Nice block from Van Zandt and Francois over there. It is 7-5. Nice hustle for the Millers, paying off. Results in a point. Van Zandt with the left-handed serve. Stamps to Kother. Kiara Jones, Shriver's under it. And that's LCU's point. Say a double hit, I believe. Coach Cazzetta doesn't seem to agree with the referee. Coleman to Van Zandt. Now Coleman attacks, and that is too far. Attack error, and LCU up by 4 now. Serve is over. Klein to Van Zandt. Francois taps it, and it doesn't go over. 10-5. Wildcats have doubled up the Millers so far here in set number 3. Must-win set for LCU. Set 3 is always the trap set. And Van Zandt up in the air. Ponce Diaz attacks, and that is a kill. Nice shot for Ponce Diaz. Now Ponce Diaz will serve. Ponce Diaz sends it over, and that's going to be an ace. It is an ace indeed. Nice serve. I believe that was Mills who couldn't handle it. Mills, one of the 3 Opelousas, Louisiana players for the Wildcats. Ponce Diaz to serve again, and this time Spell is under it. Kother up to Adams. Nice attack from Adams. Mentioned they're probably going to want to see a lot more kills from Adams and Spell, and Adams gets in on what Spell started here in set number 3. Kiara Jones serves. Klein under it. Too far. Francois taps it over. Mills to Kother, and that's deflected by Francois. Block for her. Coleman there as well. It's 11-8. Scholander checks in for Francois. Klein with the serve. And this looks like it might be an ace, but no, I think they're going to send it over. And they do. No, they hit it out. They went over, but it did not go in bounds. 11-9. Klein with a good serve. Miller's down by 2. Klein serves again. Mills under it. And Adams will attack. Shriver shoots it over and out of bounds onto the LCU bench. It's 12-9. Adams with a lot of power on that attack. Some of her hits have been too hot to handle for the Millers. Ponce Diaz to Van Zandt. Shriver attacks. It is deflected out of bounds. JMU's point. A kill for Shriver. Here is Anaya Coleman out of Lafayette, Louisiana. Went to Acadiana High School. Sophomore outside hitter to serve and into the net. 13-10. After the service error, she checks out in favor of Zoe Barnett. It's Ponce Diaz, Shriver, Scholander, Van Zandt, Klein, and Barnett for the Millers. Anaya Adams serves for LCU, and that is out of bounds. Another service error for LCU. Hannah Riggins, Katie Spell, Anaya Adams, Leah Stamps, Campbell, and Kother in. Spell pushes it over, nobody there. A gaping hole in the middle of the floor, and Spell finds it. It is 14-11. Now Leah Stamps the libero to provide service. Klein hits it up in the air. Van Zandt to Ponce Diaz. Too far. Now Stamps will serve again. Ace there for the Wildcats, and Stamps. That one was bumped. The front row came back on it, and there was nobody up there to receive that one. All right, Stamps to serve again. Klein gets under it. It goes too far. It's deflected under. Van Zandt attacks, and that is JMU's point. Some sort of infraction on Stamps. Perhaps a double hit or a lift. Here is Palin Scholander to serve. Stamps bumps it up high. Van Zandt attacks, goes off the net, and now Ponce Diaz will have to shoot it over. Kother kind of trips on Kiera Jones, and now Scholander gets it up high. Van Zandt to Ponce Diaz. It's deflected. Anaya Adams is there. Kother sets. It is attacked and a kill. A really nice swing from Campbell, and it's 17-12, a 5-point lead for the Wildcats. They have played their best volleyball so far in this set. Now Katie Spell to serve. Barnett to Van Zandt to Ponce Diaz. Taps it over. They're able to keep it alive. Jones bumps it over, and that's JMU's point. Once again, I'm not entirely sure what the call is. 17-13. Coleman will sub in for Barnett. Coleman and Scholander on the bench. The two Millers not in the game at the moment. Stamps receives it. Kother sets. Campbell with a swing off the fingertips of Van Zandt. Campbell has found a lot of success when attacking on that left side. Here is Morgan Mills out of Beauchesne High School. Van Zandt sets for Ponce Diaz, who taps it over, and JMU's point, 18-14. Millers need 11 before the Wildcats can get 7. Ponce Diaz to serve. And they're going to get it over. Didn't think they would, but good hustle from the Wildcats. Shriver attacks, Stamps under it as it's deflected off the net. Adams attacks. Ponce Diaz gets this to Klein. Shriver bumps it over, and it's not going to go over. Five-point lead for the Wildcats, and here's Kiera Jones to serve. Klein under it. Van Zandt for for Shriver, who bumps it over. Kother, and that rolls over. Coleman under it. Van Zandt pushes it way to the back. Spell gets under it. Kother up now for Morgan Mills. Long run for Ponce Diaz to Van Zandt to Coleman. It's deflected into the stands. 19-15, a kill for Coleman. She's put some good swings on the ball here today. Gets a kill again. Here is Kylie Klein to serve. Here's Adams. Shriver able to get under it. Now Coleman attacks, deflected. Ponce Diaz keeps it alive. Coleman kind of elbows it over, and it's deflected, and it's going to be LCU's point. Just nearly goes out of bounds. Almost fell in there. No Wildcat in the area, but just too far off the deflection. And now Emma Kother to serve. Setter from Karen Crow, Louisiana. Coleman taps it over, and that is a point. Another kill for Coleman. Doing it the soft way. Now we're going to see Coleman serve. She has had some aces, especially against Lee. I saw quite a few really nice serves. Last serve was an error, though. This one is over. To Kother, nice recovery. Shriver attacks, Stamps under it. Kother sets, and Coleman hits it high off the ceiling, and it's a point for LCU. I think that's playable if they were able to do anything with it, but it came down real hot. Nobody could get under it. Served by Adams. Klein to Van Zant, who taps it over. It's deflected. Nobody there. And I believe that's a block. 22-16, LCU up by 6. Probably one of their biggest leads, if not the biggest lead of the night. And JMU will call a timeout. Mentioned they are the only team that has called a timeout so far through nearly 3 sets. The Wildcats are up 22-16. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. Set number 3 here, 22-16 the score. Adams serves it over. Long run for Van Zant after Klein had to drop to the floor to get that one. And an ace for Adams. It's 23-16. Set number 3 is always dangerous if you're up 2-0. It's proved that way many a time. Shriver under it. Van Zant taps it over. Kother there. Stamps up to Spell. It's deflected off the net. And JMU's point. An attack error perhaps from Katie Spell. Here is Jasmine Shriver to serve. Into the net. Service error, and the Wildcats are a point away from a set victory here. Just 1 point to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Millers. Klein is under it. Van Zant gets it up to Ponce Diaz. Attacks. Too far. No, JMU with the point. Gotta admit there's a lot of people standing in the way of that one. I didn't see where it landed, but looked like Ponce Diaz wasn't pleased, so I assumed it went out of bounds, but it is a point indeed. Now Palin Scholander to serve, and Stamps hits it high in the air. Kother up to Campbell. It's deflected by Francois and Van Zant. I believe that is a block for Francois. Scholander to serve. JMU cannot make any kind of mistake. No service error or anything here. Spell attacks, and no chance at that one. Shriver had a long run and dive, and LCU will take set number 3, 25-19, a 6-point victory, the biggest margin of victory in any set so far, as Millers took set 1 26-24, set 2 25-21, and have dropped set 3 here 25-19. They're up 2 sets to 1, heading into set number 4. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Set number 4 coming up here in just a few moments. Wildcats get a set victory in set number 3, much needed for them. I want to take a second to tell you about Martin's Auto. They're a Crowley born and raised company. They look out for their community. They cover your vehicle's needs from basic repairs and maintenance to window tint and more. They believe in quality work over quantity. You can call them at 337-785-1732. And of course, they're on Facebook. Now, if you're in Crowley, whether you're from Crowley or you're visiting, coming to see a JMU game, you should go to Vanilla Bean. They're a proud sponsor of JMU Athletics. Vanilla Bean is not just a coffee shop, it's a community gathering space. You can catch up with friends over lunch, start your day with their next level energy drinks, or simply unwind while drinking a crafted coffee in their cozy atmosphere. Set number 4 about to start. Interested to see how LCU handles it. I'm assuming it'll be a steady diet of the big hitters, but they might just keep rotating like they did. Set number 2 was their worst set, losing by 4 points. The starters lost by 2 points and won by 6 points in set number 3. So if they opt to go with some backups here, it looks like Dynasty Brown is in, Anaya Adams and Katie Spell, of course, in. Emma Cother is in, Kiera Jones in, and Carly Horton. So it looks like a lot of big players for the Wildcats are in. It's going to be Kylie Klein, Dania Ponce-Diaz, Abigail Van Zant, Anaya Coleman, Jasmine Shriver, and Jamia Francois. Stamps checks in for Kiera Jones on the Wildcats side of things. Here is Emma Cother to serve to start off set number 4. Up in the air from Klein, Van Zant to Francois. Francois taps it over. That's a kill. She found the hole again. She's done it a few times tonight and succeeds once more. Here is Dania Ponce-Diaz now to serve here for the Millers. Serve is over. Spell to Cother to Adams. Klein is right there. Van Zant to Coleman on a back set, and it's going to be LCU's point as Coleman didn't get it over the net. Here is Anaya Adams. Adams into the net. A service error gives the Millers a point. So many times you see a team win 3-1. That's what happened in favor of LCU the first time they matched. And I don't know exactly, but I would bet money that set 3 was the one that JMU won. Coleman has it deflected, and it's LCU's point. I would put up at least $5 that JMU won set number 3 in the last meeting. Here is Stamps to serve. Shriver to Van Zant to Coleman. And a long run for Stamps. It goes high up in the air. Cother to Campbell. It is deflected. And near the scores table, they got a hand on it, but nobody could play that one. It is 3-2. The Wildcats up. Shout out to Zane Earl, the camera guy. Also the camera's protector tonight. Lots of volleyballs coming this direction. Scholander has it blocked, and another point for LCU. Wildcats come out of the gates here in set number 4, looking ready to play. See if JMU can get some momentum back. Lofty serve, Ponce-Diaz to Van Zant to Shriver, and that is a JMU point, a kill for Shriver. Ball had a lot of force on it, hit the hands of, I believe, Kiera Jones, and went straight down. Now Coleman checks out, and Barnett will come in to serve. Barnett sends it over. Attacked by Jones, off the face of Ponce-Diaz, nearly collides with Klein, and hopefully she's okay. Another point for LCU, though. It looks like she is all right. Sure, taking the ball to the face. Never feels good. Just glad they didn't really collide fully like they almost did. Sent over, up in the air, Van Zant to Scholander, who taps it over, and it's hit a few times, but Adams ultimately sends it over. Too far, Ponce Diaz can't get it though. She touched it and it's 6-3. Now Katie Spell to serve for the Wildcats. Barnett to Van Zant to Shriver, who pushes it over. Underneath it is Campbell. Now set up for Campbell, and a kill for Campbell once again. She's had a lot of success attacking tonight. Here is Katie Spell to serve. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zant sets for Shriver. Shriver pushes it over. They're going to return this one. Campbell attacks. Shriver now. And Campbell there again. Cother back to Campbell. Campbell pushes it over. Van Zant is not going to be able to return that one. A 5-point lead for the Wildcats now. Maybe one or two more points in a row for the Wildcats, and I think Coach Cazzetta will have to call a timeout. Klein under it, Van Zant just pushes it over. Campbell sends it back over. Van Zant attacks, and that's a Miller's point. I think that was deflected out of bounds by Anaya Adams. Here is Jasmine Shriver to serve. Line judge talking to Tania Ponce Diaz. Perhaps checking on her after that ball to the face a minute ago. Here's Shriver. And that is an ace for Shriver. Adams can't handle it. Shriver to serve again. Adams to Stamps. Now Campbell attacks. Shriver's there. Van Zant sets for Ponce Diaz. And that is going to be a point for the Wildcats. Too far, an attack error by Ponce Diaz. This is Carly Horton. Ponce Diaz up in the air. Scholander pushes it over. Cother to Adams. It's deflected. Klein there. Van Zant now to Scholander. And that is going to ricochet off a few Wildcats. As I believe Stamps had a dive for it as it was just pushed over and falling rapidly. Now Scholander to serve. Down by 3. Cother to Adams. And Shriver to Ponce Diaz, and Shriver gets it over. Nice hustle. Loving the effort. Now Spell attacks. It's deflected. Van Zant to Ponce Diaz, who palms it over. Cother up in the air. Kiera Jones attacks. Deflected. Francois bumps it over. Stamps is there. Cother to Jones. Tapped over. Ponce Diaz. Now Barnett, and now Scholander sends it over. And pushed over again. A heck of a volley. Van Zant attacks. Cother sets it for Adams and pushed over. No, they're going to say it hit the ground. A great volley ended there. LCU gets the point, but great play by Shriver and company to keep that ball alive as long as they did. A lot of long runs. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zant attacks. It's deflected off the net, and that is bumped over by Spell. Barnett to Van Zant to Ponce Diaz. Deflected off of Cother. Cother sets for Adams. Adams attacks off the face of Shriver. She had to put her hands up in self-defense. And another kill for Adams. Campbell, Adams, and Spell with lots of kills. And JMU will use another timeout. Down by 5 here in set number 4. We'll go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. 11-6 your score here in the fourth set. JMU took the first two sets. Now Wildcats up by 5. Kiara Jones serves. Klein is under it. Van Zant sets. Ponce Diaz attacks. It's deflected by Kother, and it's going to be a Miller's point. A kill by Ponce Diaz, I believe. They could not return that one back over. Here is Van Zant, the left-handed serve. And spell to Kother. Attacked by Adams. Shriver under it. Van Zant back sets to Coleman. Coleman with a nice shot. How about that swing from Anaya Coleman? 11-8. And Van Zant to serve again. Horton under it. Kother. That is smoked by Brown. And that is going to be LCU's point. Miller's saying they didn't hit it. 4-point lead for LCU. That was very well hit by Dynasty Brown. Brown out of Baton Rouge, went to Estruma High School. This is Kother. Ponce Diaz to Van Zant to Francois. That is a kill for Francois. Deflected by Kother out of bounds. And now Ponce Diaz to serve. Miller's down by 3. Ponce Diaz from Iowa Lakes Community College, her previous stop, the junior right side hitter, sends it over. Horton to Kother to Brown. Brown hits the ball with such velocity, that is twice in the last few points that Brown has gotten a kill. Just absolutely smoked off the hands of Brown. Very athletic, 5'10" freshman. And Adams to Van Zant, and now Coleman, who has it deflected by Stamps, and up for Spell, who taps it over. Coleman gets it up in the air. Klein for Shriver. Shriver attacks. It's deflected off the hands of Brown. Kother for Spell, and that is a kill for Spell. Mentioned Spell, Adams, Campbell, and now you have to add in Dynasty Brown. All put some really, really good swings on the ball for the Wildcats. Help them take this lead here in set number 4. Van Zant sets for Shriver, and that is LCU's point. Some sort of infraction, I believe a double hit. 6-point lead for the Wildcats. Wildcats have, I believe, 14 or 15 players. JMU only has 8, and that is going to be a point for LCU, as Coleman could not handle that one as it was deflected back at her. Adams with a service error. It's 16-10. Francois checks out. Palin Scholander checks in. Barnett is on the sideline. Klein will serve. It's Klein, Ponce Diaz, Van Zant, Coleman, Shriver, and Scholander. Kother sets up for Campbell. Campbell attacks. That is going to be sent off the little flag. What do you call that? I think it's the flag. 17-10. The marker on the net. And it's LCU's point. Here is Stamps to serve. Klein to Van Zant to Scholander. And a kill for Scholander. Millers will take over down 6 here in set number 4 with Zoe Barnett, who has done a great job serving tonight. Don't believe she's made a service error yet. This one over. Kother sets, and that is hit hard. Ponce Diaz sends it up high. Shriver attacks, deflected. And now Kother back sets for Spell. Jones is there. Kother now to Campbell. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zant just pushes it over backwards, and Stamps will get it up to Jones, who bumps it over. Ponce Diaz to Van Zant to Shriver. Deflected. Ponce Diaz is there. Van Zant now for Scholander, and that is JMU's point. Scholander with a kill. Barnett to serve again. Stamps is there. Kother to Spell into the net, an attack error, and the Millers are back within 4. A set victory would be absolutely huge for the Millers here to get a victory over a school like LCU. Barnett, and this is not going to be returned. An ace for Barnett. Mentioned her serving abilities have been good all night, and she continues it there. And now her 4th straight serve. Barnett, another serve over the net. Kother up to Campbell, who pushes it over. Barnett up to Van Zant. Scholander attacks, it's deflected. Klein is there, bumps it up high. Now Van Zant attacks, and that's a kill for Van Zant. The setter getting in on the action once again. A very aggressive setter comparatively. I don't believe we've seen a single attack from Stamps. That's a timeout. 17-15. Take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. (17-15) here in set number 4. A nice run by the Millers to get back in it, forcing the timeout called by LCU. We'll see another serve from Barnett. Barnett, Ponce Diaz, Klein, Shriver, Van Zant, and Scholander for the Millers. Anaya Adams, Stamps, Spell, Campbell, Jones, and Kother in for the Wildcats. Barnett sends it over. Stamps hits it up in the air. Kother with a set for Spell. Ponce Diaz deflects it. Van Zant just pushes it over. Stamps is there, and they send it over on a backwards bump. Van Zant has it deflected by Campbell. 18-15. Kill by Campbell. Here is Katie Spell to serve. Barnett to Van Zant. Scholander pushes it over. It's deflected and tipped backwards. Now Campbell attacks. And Ponce Diaz, Van Zant. Shriver attacks, deflected. Campbell's there. Jones has it attacked and off of Van Zant. Self-defense again. She's been a victim to a few of those really powerful shots. Gets on you with such quickness. It's 19-15. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zant up in the air. Shriver attacks, and that is too far. Attack error from Shriver. 5-point lead for the Wildcats, who need 5 points to get back-to-back set victories after dropping the first 2. Spell sends it over. Van Zant just pushes it backwards. Kother up to Spell. Ponce Diaz. Van Zant to Scholander. Spell's there. Kother. And attacked by Campbell. And that is a point for the Wildcats. Deflected by Barnett, I believe. Spell to serve. Klein to Van Zant. Shriver attacks, pushes it over. The defense and attacked. Oh, Klein and Barnett. Now Shriver attacks. Kind of came off her hand wrong. And now Spell with a powerful attack and a kill for Spell. Spell has provided probably more points than anyone else tonight. Now Spell will serve. Coleman and Francois on the bench currently for the Millers. And Ponce Diaz has a dive for this one, just gets under it. Van Zandt attacks it, rolls over the net. Kother up to Adams. Klein to Van Zandt to Shriver. And that is a kill for Jasmine Shriver. Another good swing, deflected out of bounds, and now Shriver will serve. Down by 6. Wildcats just need 3 to win set number 4. Shriver sends it over. Adams to Kother. And Campbell to Shriver. Now Van Zandt sets for Ponce Diaz. It's deflected, and the Millers weren't ready for it. Block there for the Wildcats. 7-point lead. Here is Carly Horton. I would imagine related to Ada Horton, both from Opelousas. Barnett attacks, and it's blocked immediately downward by Jones. You got probably the shortest girl in the court, Barnett, attacking against Jones, the tallest girl. And she's able to easily put her hands up and knock that one down. An 8-point lead, probably the biggest of the night. The Wildcats need 1 point. Van Zandt pushes it up for Ponce Diaz. Kother sets up for Adams, who attacks, and off the hands of the Millers, Van Zandt and Scholander shoot it out of bounds. A 9-point victory here in set number 4. Set 1, a 26-24 victory for the Millers. Set 2, another victory, 25-21. They dropped set 3, 25-19. And now their worst loss of the night, 25-16 here in set 4. We'll play one final set to 15 to decide the tie here through 4 sets. We'll go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Set number 5, the final set tonight, coming up here in just a moment. Hopefully Mo Bamba will get the Millers righted here after dropping the last 2 sets. A great start. LCU dropped the first 2 sets and then decided they were going to leave their starters in most of the way and not risk losing any further, and they have done a good job with the 2 biggest victories in the last 2 sets, winning by 6 and by 9 points. Millers won by 2 and by 4, respectively. See if Obama does indeed help the Millers. Looks like we're going to see Julie Bordeaux, Nia Adams, Kiera Jones, Emma Cother, Katie Spell, and Horton, Carly Horton. But perhaps somebody will sub out for Leah Stamps. That's for the Wildcats. For JMU, Anaya Coleman, Jamia Francois, Dania Ponce-Diaz, Abigail Van Zant, Palin Scholander, and Jasmine Shriver in. Klein and Barnett currently not in, which is interesting. That's your libero and your other libero. Usually Francois and Coleman will be subbed out. Even Scholander subbed out for Barnett and Klein at some point when they get to the back row. Looks like we're ready now. So Jones is checked out in favor of Leah Stamps. And the other referee still at the scores table. First 4 sets went pretty quickly. Now Klein will check in for Scholander. Shriver and Klein with a chest bump. And we'll see a serve from Dania Ponce-Diaz to begin set number 5. Tied at 2. Ponce-Diaz sends it over. Horton to Cother. And attacked by Spell, deflected. Cother can't get it. A block from Coleman and Francois puts the Millers up 1-0. And the Millers need to keep that momentum and close this out. They had a chance in set 3. Couldn't close it out. Set 4 couldn't close it out. Now they still can. Ponce-Diaz to Horton to. That's just pushed out of bounds. An attack error by Adams. After Cother set her up, it's 2-0. Ponce-Diaz to serve again. Horton to Cother. Cother bumps it up for Spell. That is deflected, and it was a point for the Wildcats. A kill for Katie Spell once again. She's had quite a few of those. Here's Anaya Adams from Houston, Texas. Went to Hightower High School. Coleman attacks and stamps under it. Cother to Spell. Van Zant gets under it. Francois bumps it up. And Shriver attacks. Anaya Adams is there. Pushed over by Campbell. Ponce-Diaz gets it to Van Zant. Shriver attacks. Deflected and a kill for Shriver. It's 3-1. Millers lead by 2. And now Kylie Klein will serve. Defensive specialist from North Branch, Minnesota. And this is bumped over. Van Zant to Scholander, who taps it over. And a kill for Scholander. 4-1. Miller's coming out of the gates hot. We'll see if LCU wants to call a timeout. They haven't called very many tonight. But this is do or die. Momentum-wise, you want to take that away. Stamps off the serve from Klein. Attacked by Campbell. And that is out. A great decision to let it go. And it's 5-1. 4-point lead for the Millers. Klein to serve. Stamps up high in the air. Adams bumps it up. And Spell bumps it over. Scholander to Van Zant. Sets for Coleman. Coleman attacks. And it's going to be a long run. And they're not going to be able to get it over. 6-1. Millers with the momentum. Big Mo. Cother sets. Campbell attacks. And that is another point for the Millers into the net. An attack error from Campbell, who's been very good. Still no timeout called. This is up high. Cother to Spell. Van Zant. Self-defense. pushed over. Stamps able to get there. Spell attacks again. Van Zandt underneath it. Klein to Coleman. Coleman attacks, it's deflected, and it's JMU's point once more. An 8-1 lead here in set number 5. They need 7, and they're up by 7. Kylie Klein to serve. Campbell to Cother. Back to Campbell, deflected, and Adams will send it over. Ponce Diaz. Now Coleman bumps it over. Good hustle. Scholander deflects it. Adams attacks. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zandt pushes back for Coleman. Coleman taps it over. Coleman touches it twice. And finally, the run from JMU is halted. It's 8-2. A 6-point lead. They need 7 points. Here is Leah Stamps. Ponce Diaz under it. Van Zandt sets for Shriver. Shriver attacks. It is not going to be returned. A kill for Jasmine Shriver. We are up 9-2. JMU needs 6 points. Here is Zoe Barnett out of Lafayette. Stamps under it. Cother back to Spell. Klein, long run for Ponce Diaz. Nobody there after Ponce Diaz hits it backwards. A heck of an effort, but it is a point for the Wildcats. Made Zane Earl nervous there. Katie Spell to serve. Klein to Van Zandt for Shriver, and deflected back over. Klein to Van Zandt, attacks, and that's a kill for Van Zandt. The setter with a big kill. One of the bigger hitters in terms of setters go. Van Zandt, one of the tallest girls on the team, and you see her swing quite a bit on one and gets the kill there. Now Shriver to serve. Just 5 points needed for a victory. Shriver sends it over, Stamps underneath it. Cother up. Kiera Jones taps it over. Klein underneath it. Scholander bumps it up for Ponce Diaz. And that is in. A kill for Ponce Diaz. Perfect placement. And they need 4 points. LCU has still yet to call a timeout. The ball went about a country mile away. We just need a volleyball. And that's all we're waiting on. Hopefully this elongated pause does not take away the momentum from the Millers. They need just 4 points. It could be anything in sports that changes the game. Now Shriver has 2 volleyballs. And now Shriver will get a new volleyball and serve with this one. Serve is over. Spell can't get it. Cother with a long run. Spell has to send it over, and it doesn't go over. Point JMU. LCU has 3. JMU needs 3. 9-point lead. This goes to 15. Shriver to serve. Over. And that's going to go off the back wall. An ace for Jasmine Shriver. Millers 2 points away from a victory over LCU. Jasmine Shriver to serve. And another ace! Another ace! The Millers are a point away. Jasmine Shriver and the Millers need 1 point. Back-to-back aces, she'll provide service. Sends it over. Spell to Cother. Kiera Jones attacks. It's deflected, and they cannot get it. A point for LCU. Klein dove. Could not get underneath it. A 10-point lead for the Millers. 1 mistake. A serve into the net. An attack out of bounds. Anything, and the Millers will win. LCU has to remain perfect the rest of the way. Shriver under it. Van Zandt Up for Ponce. Diaz attacks and kills! The Millers will get the victory 15-4 here in set number 5. The match is over. They took set 1 26-24, set 2 25-21. A hiccup in set 3 and 4, losing 25-19 and 25-16, but an absolutely dominant performance in set number 5, winning 15-4, the biggest victory of the night. An 11-point victory in set number 5. They win it 3-2 here at Cajun Elite Volleyball in Lafayette over LCU. Lost last time 3-1. Get the victory this time. Coach Ben Cazzetta and the entire team, Palin Scholander, Jamia Francois, Anaya Coleman, Zoe Barnett, Jasmine Schreiber, Kylie Klein, Abigail Van Zant, and Dania Ponce Diaz, all of them with a great performance. LCU had some really nice performers as well. I mean, we saw some great plays from everyone that saw the floor from them. Dynasty Brown, Kiera Jones with some nice blocks, Kate Campbell with some great swings, Anaya Adams with some nice hits. Emma Cother looks like an excellent setter, if you ask me. Everybody. Leah Stamps looked like a great libero. That's most of the people who played majority of the game, but a great competition, and LCU looked really good in sets 3 and 4, but ultimately a victory from the Millers. 3-2 here at Cajun Elite Volleyball. The Millers get the victory at home. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.